Well, President Donald J. Trump has been on an absolute roll the past 2 weeks, absolutely steamrolling the Democrats that have been caught totally flat footed. And the winning just keeps stacking up. I tell you what, I am not tired of winning yet. The era of common sense is here, and it is here to stay. So if you're new to the channel, go down below, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get notified for all of our future videos, and hit that like button if you would like to see more content from us here. So today, President Donald Trump signed an executive order. It was the executive order No Men in Women's Sports, executive order number 8217. This order aims to bar biological men from competing in women and girls' sports. It is truly a historic moment in the fight against the radical left-wing gender extremists and their crazy ideologies. It is so radical, the things that these Democrats have pushed the last number of years. It is just insane. If you were to go back 50 years, if you were to, let's say if you were to have someone who could time travel from, let's say, 1970 to today, let's have him go to 2 points. Let's have him go to like 2022, late 22, early 23, when you're kind of in the thick and thin of what the bull crap that Biden was doing. And then he could come here to watch Trump sign an executive order protecting women's rights. Like, who'd have thought? Who'd have thought this is what we need to focus on? But obviously, these radical gender extremists just have not figured out that 80% of Americans, 90% of Americans just don't agree with them. Because the war on women is over, according to President Trump. This is over with. Said and done. We've put this to rest. Trump signed this executive order surrounded by young girls, female athletes, and other advocates for the causes. Now, in the executive order, let's get it pulled up here. It states that it is the policy of the United States to rescind all funding from educational programs that deprive women and girls of fair athletic opportunities, which result in the endangerment, humiliation, and silencing of women and girls and deprives them of privacy. It shall also be the policy of the United States to oppose male competitive participation in women's sports more broadly as a matter of safety, fairness, dignity, and truth. This is absolutely wonderful. You can almost be at a loss for words. You knew that this was coming. We all knew that this was coming here. It is just a truly historic moment to see. It's historic that we had to deal with this crap to begin with, but it's very historic that President Trump has been ushered in to return the United States to an era of common sense. That is what this is all about. Common frickin' sense. Something that the Democrats just haven't heard of in, 40, 50, maybe 60 years? You know, it is a huge contrast from what we've had the last 4 years of the Biden administration. And it really makes you appreciate moments like this. Because in a not so far off world, I hate to say it, but Kamala Harris could be our president. And she would absolutely continue to violate the rights and privacy of women and girls. She would continue the Biden administration's push to rewrite Title IX of the Education Amendment Act of 1972, in which they seek to redefine sex, biological sex, as gender identity, which would in return force schools that receive federal funding to allow access to facilities like bathrooms, locker rooms, and sports teams based on one's gender identity or face losing federal funds due to, quote, discrimination. Thank God it was struck down in the courts. Thank God at the end of Biden's administration he kind of gave up like the whimpering old dog he was. They had to put him out to pasture. My Lord. It was just, it's just ridiculous. And on top of that, if they were able to redefine biological sex and replace it with gender identity, first of all, it would kind of nullify Title IX. Like, what's even the point of having Title IX? You're literally not protecting anyone. I can just say I'm a boy today, I'm a girl tomorrow. Like, kids aren't completely stupid. Some of them are pretty freaking stupid, but there's a lot of them that are pretty smart. They figured out how to work the system if they needed to. And that rewrite would also force school systems, public schools that receive federal funding, to investigate instances of gender, or I should say misgendering or dead naming, which is just absolutely absurd. Totally absurd, a total waste of resources. You want to talk about government efficiency. One of the most inefficient things that Biden could have done was we're going to have schools investigate misgendering? Give me a break. Give me a break. My God. And here's the dirty little secret that Democrats don't want you to know about. They want to keep it hush-hush. The dirty, dirty little secret, which is really not that dirty, but to them it's dirty. 80% of Americans agree with President Trump in exactly what he has done to squash the unfair advantages that transgenders would have had over their female opponents in competitive sports. We've also squashed transgender males mentally, and these are mentally people who suffer from gender dysphoria. And I don't say mental illness as a derogatory term. I say it as a fact. These people have a mental illness. If you have a man who wants to undress himself in front of women, in front of girls, wants to use restrooms, expose themselves to girls and women, that is a mental illness, and I don't care what anyone says. I do not care. You will never convince me otherwise. Never, ever, ever. But 80% of Americans agree with what President Trump has done. They agree with this. And the Democrats have fought tooth and nail because they are controlled by the far left radicals in their party. If you didn't know, the far crazy, demented radicals in the Democrat Party, the 10-20% of the Democratic Party, they keep their leash very tight on the establishment of the party. They keep that leash real tight. They don't let them stray off too far. They do what the radicals tell them to do. They fall in line. And so I think we should just take a moment to praise God that is not the world we're going to be forced to live in. That reality is over with, at least for the next 4 years. And Republicans need to fight very hard to enshrine this into law, to make sure that if there is a Democrat who comes in the future, that they cannot reverse this. Republicans need to fight very hard to make sure that this never, ever happens again. We need this in law. We absolutely need this written in law to make sure that if this is ever going to be changed, there needs to be congressional approval. The House needs to pass it and the Senate needs to pass it. And that will be a good enough roadblock to make sure that there is never a radical rewrite of Title IX, that women are never forced to share restrooms with men, ever. You can have unisex bathrooms and that's fine, where each individual stall, it's like its own separate bathroom. And I'm totally fine with that. And then there's a communal area for sinks. But if you're going to have an actual bathroom that's male, female, it is by your sex, not the sex that you're assigned at birth, because you aren't assigned your sex at birth. It is just because you recognize reality at birth does not mean it's assigned to you. The sex that was assigned to you at conception. When you were conceived, you were assigned a sex, a biological sex. It is in every strand of DNA in your body. So let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts? Are you happy that Trump followed through with this? I'm pretty darn happy with it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Until next time, folks.